All right, and then when y'all leave, remember to sign the sign-in sheet that's right outside the door.
Oh, okay.
I'm Tony. Miranda. Miranda, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Whenever you are ready.
All right, we're starting. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Anthony Williams, and I'm the speaker for today. But before I start, what I'd like to do is I only know Tony. So what I'd like to do is go around and just introduce yourselves, and tell a little bit about yourselves if you don't mind.
Well, my name is Rick Marinero. I am retired, and wife and I raised two autistic grandsons, had them for about 20 years. They went to Holy Angels about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wife has Alzheimer's, and I'm taking care of her.
Wow. Okay. You mentioned you were 78 too, huh?
Pardon?
You mentioned you were 78, huh?
I will be next week.
Next week?
2 weeks.
Speaking of age, I'll be 75 in August. So we're getting up there. You know, somebody told me age is a number, but growing old is a state of mind. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
My name's Debbie Collier. Goodness. I take care of my husband at home. We're both 70. Tim, he was diagnosed 3 years ago next month. So it's been, anyway, the bridge has been really good for us. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Miranda. I'm a music therapist here in town, and I wanted to just, I've worked with people with dementia, I've worked with, and I'm new to the profession, so I wanted to see what the bridge is about, meet some people and see, how y'all are doing, be a source of support for you here, maybe in the future.
Okay. Well, like I said, my name is Anthony Williams. To give you a little background on myself, I'm originally from New Orleans and stayed in New Orleans until I was 20 years old and joined the United States Air Force. Spent 20 years in the Air Force, and when I got out, I started working with Volunteers of America and worked for them for about 10 years. And after 10 years working with Volunteers of America, I said, you know what? I think I can do this for myself. So I started my own private practice in 2000, and I've been doing counseling, well, actually I've been doing counseling since about 85, so I've been in it for a while. I've seen a lot of things, but I haven't seen everything yet. When I think I have, something comes along and put me back to square one, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to learn all over again. But I'm married. My wife and I, we just celebrated our 40th anniversary in March, and I have one son, one grandson, and I think I'm a better better grandfather than I'm a father. The first one was just a test, so I got it right the second time. And we've been here in Shreveport. I got here in 1976, and by way of the Air Force, and was here from 76 to 85, and then we went to Wyoming for 5 years, and beautiful country. I wish I was back up there. But my wife didn't like it because it wasn't within 100 miles of a Walmart or anything, so where we were, so it was miserable for her, but I loved it. I'm also a private pilot too. Learned how to fly planes after I retired, and I fly with the Civil Air Patrol here, and we go out and do exercises, and we also do aerospace education too. So I've been in that since '92, and it keeps me busy. I also love woodworking. Picked that up while I was in the Air Force and didn't train for it or anything, but love woodworking. Love woodworking and flying. Those are the two passions that I have. And those two passions now keep me grounded when I do counseling. Because when I do counseling, it's, oh golly, you know, it takes you, sometimes it has you what we call vicariously traumatized by what we hear all the time and from others with their situations and all. So you have to have something to get away. You have to have something to disengage from it. And this is what we'll be talking about today. I also do, I supervise others to become counselors. Alicia Henderson, she's one of my supervisees. And in that, whenever I get a new one, I always ask them a really important question first. And that important question is, what do you do for fun? What do you do to get disengaged? If they don't have anything that they do for fun or disengage, I say, well, before I take you on as a supervisee, I want you to find something, and then we'll look at that every 6 months and see if you're, engaging in it. I want them to do that because I don't want them to get too involved in what they're doing in caring for others, as it were, that they overlook caring for themselves. So this is what we'll be talking about today. And also, this is a laid-back presentation, okay? If you got questions or anything, just jump in there. You know, I love questions. I love people, asking about things and seeing if they can get information and all. So just if you have questions, I don't mind you interrupting and saying, asking what you would like to ask. Okay, any questions so far? No? Okay. Well, this presentation I made when I was doing it for other professionals, but I kind of like adapted for individuals who care for people. My grandmother contracted Alzheimer's later on in her life, and one of the things that I can remember is coming home one day on leave and going down to New Orleans, and she didn't recognize me. That was really traumatic for me. It was traumatic because I'd known her all my life. She's been there, a staple in my life. And when she didn't recognize me, that really took a toll. I didn't know how much of a toll it would take on me because later on, when I was studying to be a counselor, we had to go through internship and practicum. And in that, we had to go out and interview some people, at various agencies or institutions. And I had to go into one home, and I saw a lady there who was suffering from Alzheimer's, and it immediately brought back my remembrance of my grandmother. I couldn't do it. So I had to find another place to do my practicum and internship. But now here I am at the bridge, and look like, it's forcing me to face the fears that I have of dealing with someone, dealing with my fears about Alzheimer's and dementia now. And life has a way of just making you more aware of the power that you have to change things in your life that you would like to change. So, but at any rate, this was adapted to fit self-care for caring individuals. And some of the things that we'll be talking about, I don't know if we'll be talking about all of these, but some of them I have is, why is self-care important? We're going to talk about brownout versus burnout, which are two different distinct things. Vicarious traumatization, compassion fatigue, impairment, post-traumatic stress, suicide assessment, and increasing self-care. Okay, so I'm saying around here, forgot what I put up here. So anytime we get in the position of caring for someone else, it always, we have something that makes us feel really good about caring for someone. But if we don't find that we have a balance in our lives in order to do what we need to do as for caring for folks, caring for someone else, and for caring for ourselves, then it's going to be something that will lead us to burnout. So, but at a time we're most needed and stretched to the limit, we find ourselves doing more that could lead to burnout because we always wanna do more. We always wanna do more. We feel like if we're a caring individual, we wanna care for others because we would want them to care for us too if we were in the same position. So we have that altruistic nature that wants us to go out and do for others, do for others, do for others, but we have to really take a chance and look at what we're gonna be doing for ourselves also. So while it may be your duty or your responsibility to care for others, it's all equally essential to evaluate yourself for burnout, and that self-assessment may include honest answers to those questions that we're gonna be asking. And you really have to be honest in asking yourself these questions because the more honest you are with them, the more you're gonna benefit from the questions. So is your personal life satisfying and rewarding? This once again goes into those things that you do for fun, those things that you have to maintain a healthy balance in your life. If you have those things, yeah, and if you find that your life is rewarding, with what you wanna do, we all have something that we feel is our life purpose, okay? And we'll pursue that with a passion. But we also have to realize that even with the passions that we have for what we do, we also have to have some common sense about how we, disengage from it. I had a client in my office this morning that I was talking about the same thing, about how he is trying to balance work and home. And I said, well, prioritize. What is most important to you, home or work? And he said, well, they're both important, but he find that he has to begin to back off on one thing in order to enjoy the other. And I said, well, I was trying to have him figure out what is more important to him, home or work. He couldn't figure that out. That's why he was having that unhealthy balance. He felt that in order to have a healthy home, he had to do a whole lot of work, but when he comes home, he's tired and he doesn't engage or anything. So, well, what's more important? And that's what we have to figure out in our lives too. What's more important, and is it satisfying to us? Are your relationship what you want them to be? Not only with the persons who are closest to you, but also anybody that you come into contact with. Do you interact with them in such a way that you find it really, really pleasant, or do you find that, golly, I don't want to talk to this person today? And I tell you what, we as counselors, we're humans also, okay? So there are times in my office when I know a particular client will be coming in, and I'm thinking, I hope they cancel. I hope they cancel, But when they come in, though, even after my hoping they don't cancel, when they come in, my counselor takes over, and I do everything that I possibly can in order to help them, okay? But yeah, we're human. We have that sometimes, Sometimes we don't want to go to work, but we know that we must. To what degree are you taking care of yourself, both physically and emotionally? I was going to say I walk my dog in the morning, but he actually walks me, I mean, he takes me around the neighborhood, and it's really, really good. And I've been doing that since we moved in the other place. We have a little community there where we can walk around in the neighborhood, and it's about a mile all the way around the streets and it's pretty good. I don't like it. I don't like walking the dog. I really don't like it, But every morning he whines and I get up and we go, And it's like, but I know that it's helping me physically and emotionally too, when I do this, but I don't like doing it. It's funny, how we don't like doing some of the things that we really need to do and that will help us, but golly, I don't like doing that. But we have to get to a point where we like those things even though we don't want to do them, So, also, will I be willing for others I respect to know about my conduct and my decisions? Some of the things that you do, would you be willing to have that published in the Times? Would you be willing to have your closest person, that know about the things and know about your conduct and all? Well, that's taking care of yourself also. Am I willing to express my vulnerabilities through consultation and peer support? When we have something that we're going through and we feel like we can't go through it, we feel like we have to go it alone. And that's something that really makes going through whatever you're going through prolonged. the more you seek help, that's the first sign of healing, okay? When you begin to seek help. Am I generously consistent with my caring performance? Am I caring one day but just don't care the next day, you know? Well, if you have that healthy balance, that caring performance is going to be with you all the way, but you have to know when to actually apply it and when it's going to be beneficial to you and for the one that you're caring for also. Okay, so that's why it's so self-important. They have two, and I talked about this with my client this morning. He said that he was like really, you know, he would go to work, but he would feel numb during the day, you know, and everything, and it didn't feel like he was accomplishing anything. And he said he think he was experiencing burnout. I said, no, you're not experiencing burnout. What you're experiencing is brownout. Brownout is a little more insidious. Burnout is like this. You strike a match, boom, it goes up, you know. Brownout is those slow embering coals up underneath of everything that slowly burns, you know, slowly burns, and that can last for a long time. Whereas burnout, it's gone, it's, as soon as it flashes, you know, it's gone. So with brownout, you have this slow simmering thing, and as soon as something happens, well, it'll turn into burnout. But at any rate, at burnout begins, your early enthusiasm and energy give way to a chronic fatigue and irritability. That means you're always on the, oh golly, you know, nothing ever pleases you, nothing seems right, you know, but you're always irritable with everybody who comes along. You can have everything going good for you all day long, but you're still irritable, you know. So your eating and sleeping patterns change. You become more indecisive, your productivity drops, your work deteriorates, friends and family may comment on it because they're going to see this. The ones that you have who are closest to you, they're going to see a change and they're going to comment on it. And sometimes when they comment on it, most people will deny it. Nope, I don't feel that way. But they see something that you really don't see, but you're feeling, and don't want to admit that you're feeling it. So that is brownout. Now, burnout, they had a guy, Gerald Lawson, now described burnout as a slow degradation of a person's ability to empathize with others over time. It often arises from an accumulation of stress, resulting in feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. It's typically created or exacerbated by the nature of the work and workplace. As a result, a change in environment can dramatically improve one's experience of burnout. But here's the one thing also. I found that if you cannot deal with what's going on in one environment, if you try to change your environment, you're going to bring the same things over there too. So the thing is trying to deal with everything that is causing you some form of burnout in the environment that you're in. And if you decide to choose to go, and it's a win-win situation. If you decide to go somewhere else, well, you won't be plagued by that problem in the other place. If you intend to stay there and deal with that, well, you win there too, because now you've dealt with that particular issue. So I always say try to build a win-win situation for yourself in any situation that you go into, and it'll make the outlook or the decision that you have to make even more pleasurable, because nobody likes to make decisions where they're going to lose something, okay? So any situation that you're in, you can make it, or you can find a way to devise it to make it a win-win situation. Okay, I had that situation one time where just before I went into private practice, okay, I was working with Volunteers of America, and I said I wanted to go into private practice. But there's another company that wanted me to come in to be their executive director. It's now gone, Samaritan Council. I don't know if you remember Samaritan. But Margaret Murray, I don't know if you remember Margaret Murray, she called me over, she said, how'd you like to become the executive director over here? I said, well, I'm trying to go into private practice, and all three things look, it was win-win-win, okay? If I'd have stayed with Volunteers of America, that would have been good. If I'd have went with Samaritan, that would have been good. If I'd gone to private practice, that would have been good. The thing is, even with a win-win situation, you have to make a decision. And that's the hard part, okay? Even though you're gonna win in both situations, it's gonna be a decision that you have to make. Okay. Now, here's some differences between the two, between burnout and brownout. Brownout, you'll have someone saying, I feel tired. You know, they're always tired. Even though they're going to work, they're doing the things that they have to do, but they just feel tired. Whereas with burnout now, it's sort of like severe depression, and brownout is some mild depression. But with burnout, you feel exhausted, listless. You don't have any strength or anything to do anything. With brownout, you have you find yourself saying, I'm having less fun and feeling less satisfied. But you're still doing the things that you want to do. But in burnout now, you feel grumpy and joyless. I mean, that's no fun at all. With brownout, you're drinking more caffeine and eating more junk food. I don't think I'm going to burnout, but I love junk food. I love junk food. Yeah, with burnout now, you're drinking more alcohol, taking more medication, or using illicit drugs. This is more serious, on a serious trend. With brownout, you feel less interested and less caring about your patients, residents, or co-workers. You know, you're just not there. You're gonna be experiencing, to some extent, compassion fatigue, and we'll be talking about that too. In burnout now, you feel like, I want to leave my job and I don't care about my coworkers. You know, this is it. I mean, this is this is the end. With brownout now, you're dissatisfied, you're troubled, and with burnout now, you're impaired. That means you cannot do even the basic functions that you're supposed to be doing in caring for someone or in caring for yourself. So the thing is now, once again, getting back to that point where you can build a healthy balance in your life with what you do and what you do for yourself and what you do for others. Okay. Now, you also have what we can look at burnout as opposed to compassion fatigue also. So burnout usually evolves gradually. It has a loss of meaning, unexpected expectations, and diminished work capacity, sort of like depression and withdrawal. And compassion fatigue now, that is something a little bit different. It's a reaction to extreme circumstances or suddenly increased demand, such as disaster relief, crisis work. You remember when Katrina hit and all of the evacuees were up here? They were at LSU, they were at the Hearst Coliseum and all. We had to go over there and provide some, I would say counseling, I wouldn't say counseling, but some what we call crisis intervention, and talk to some of the people there. And I was over there every night, until it got to a point where I was driving over there, and I just had to turn around. I couldn't go. I was completely fatigued where my compassion was. Even though those were folks from New Orleans, and I'm from New Orleans also, and I could identify with what they're going through because I've been through a lot of hurricanes and all, but it got to a point where I could not go over there anymore. And I just had to step back and start taking care of self. I thought I had to do this because, hey, this is me, this is the counselor, you know, and we had to go out there and we had to care for these folks, you know, but I think I overdid it, and I realized it, and I just had to stop for about a week or so. But I had encountered vicarious suffering of others' trauma, emotional contagion. They were going through something, and I tell you, it was like, and you know, the way it was set up, they had pathways where you could walk through, and the pathways were named after the streets in New Orleans, you know. And I would walk down Desire Street, you know, and I used to live in the Ninth Ward, you know, and I'm like, oh golly, and those folks, whenever they saw a street, that's where they would go, whoever was in that particular part of town. And I didn't know anyone there because I'd long since left New Orleans, you know, but my heart was still there with them. And through that, what they were going through and all, it was almost like I was a part of that too. You know, I was a part of the being evacuated there too, every time I went down there. my wife was telling me, don't go tonight, don't go tonight. I said, no, I have to go, I have to go, I have to go, you know, until, you know, I had to stop. Increased compassion fatigue also is increased relentless work effort, ignoring physical help, work till you drop mentality. That's what I had. You know, I was gonna do this and do this and do this until I could not do it anymore because I felt I had a responsibility to do it, you know? And the responsibility was all to the work that was being done, none for myself. So I had to take time for myself. And once again, when I have someone come into my office with who's feeling like this, tell him it's not a selfish thing to take time for yourself. As a matter of fact, it's going to help others as well as yourself too. But you have to take care of self first. Obsessive compulsive behavior. I don't think I was engaging in well, I guess I was, you know. I was obsessing about going over there and I felt compelled to do it, you know. So yeah, I was in that. And it took a lot in me and also from my wife to have me notice this within myself and to do something different. Sometimes when we hear from someone else the changes that we need to make in our lives, we don't want to hear it because we already know we need to make those changes and we don't need to hear it from somebody else, you know? So we get kind of frustrated with the other person, and my wife and I, we kind of like, you know, I tell my wife this, I tell everyone this too. I'm a licensed professional counselor, a licensed marriage and family therapist. My wife and I have been married for 40 years, and we still fuss and fight, okay? I mean, we fuss and fight, we argue, and it's not like the way we used to argue when we first married, you know. Now it's arguing with understanding each other, you know, so it's a little bit different. We still argue though, golly, but you have to get used to it. Okay, so that's compassion fatigue as opposed to burnout. Okay, vicarious traumatization. And this is what I went through when Katrina was here. And it's the symptom of vicarious traumatization or secondary traumatic stress are much the same as those associated with PTSD. So caring individuals can acquire vicarious traumatization in as little as one interaction with when they are affected by the trauma they hear about through persons who are in their care. You need to feel like you've been vicariously traumatized at any one point. I know you're not counselors or anything, but when we take on the maybe problems and responsibilities that others should be responsible for, and we feel that we need to do this, and it affects us in such a way that we really don't want to feel, then we're vicariously traumatized, you know. And we have to be really, really careful about that, because if not, the least little thing that happens will have us feeling the same way that the person is feeling, or going through the same things that they're going through. And that can be caused in as little as one interaction. So I was over there week after week, you know, for about 3 weeks, you know, when I had to realize that, yeah, this is taking a toll on me. You know, I can't do this anymore. Okay, there's also compassion fatigue. Now, Charles Figley originally coined the term compassion fatigue as an experience in which exposure to the suffering of clients coupled with an inability to rescue them from this feeling, suffering results in feelings of depletion, anxiety, depression, resentment, and or emotional withdrawal. So persons experiencing compassion fatigue may deny clients traumatic experiences, overdiagnoses, and pathologize clients, and becoming increasingly less attuned and emphatic. That is empathic. That is like if I see someone suffering, and if I see them really, really going through something, And it makes me now have feelings of depletion, anxiety, depression, resentment, or emotional withdrawal, then I'm not gonna do everything that I possibly can. It's sort of like a self-preservation thing. I'm not gonna do everything that I can to actually help them the way that they need to be helped. I'm gonna hold back because, golly, you know, I'm not gonna get involved with their, in their, situation. But when I was taking training to become a bereavement facilitator, we were trained by, this was back in 93 or 94, and I forget what year it was, but it was the year that the Oklahoma bombing took place, Oklahoma City bombing. About 3 months after that, we went to Oklahoma City for training. And they had some nurses that were there, and they had some nuns that were there also. The nuns were doing the training. And the nuns were saying that, you know, people don't need to have counselors in order to deal with their grief and everything. Because people will deal with their grief in their own way, and it will subside, they'll begin to deal with it in their own way. And I was saying, like, how can that be? But they said counseling helps because it will shorten the period of time that they're grieving, and they'll get more of an understanding of why they're grieving. Because a lot of people know what they're going through, but they don't know why they're going through it. And when you figure out the why, the what becomes more meaningful. But it was like having feelings of anxiety, depression, resentment, emotional withdrawal. You don't want to be bothered with anyone or any thing that is going on, but we have to be careful. There is something that we have to do in order to really still be helpful. And there was an old saying, we have to be close enough to the fire to feel the heat but not get burned. Okay? And if we look at it like that, we can be more helpful knowing what's going on. We're still empathetic with with whoever we're in doing this for or caring for, but we're not going to be burned by it. We're not going to let it affect us to where now we are experiencing compassion fatigue, or we are experiencing vicarious traumatization. Okay, impairment. Now, impairment occurs when there's a significant negative impact on the caring person's functions, which comprises someone's care or poses a potential harm for the person in their care. Impairment is like if you're caring for someone and you really, really are affected by something so badly until you really can't care for them the way that they need to be cared, and it causes them some harm, then you're engaging in impairment. So impairment, which doesn't always equate to unethical behavior, can lead caregivers to tend to their own issues at the expense of someone else's. For example, a caring individual with grief issues might steer persons away from expressing their grief or loss issues because the caring individual can't handle talking about them. If someone that you care for is talking about their grief issues, you know, and I can't talk about this with them because it's gonna make me look at my grief issues, so I'm not gonna do it. And it causes the person now who's grieving not to feel the support from you, and they may get worse. And really, that caring now becomes something else. So we have to be careful that we don't become impaired when we are caring for someone. This is why we have to have, caring individuals have to have support themselves too in caring. Because if we don't have that support, well, you know, caring will become something other than what it should be. Okay, how to increase your self-care. How to do those things that you really need to do in order to care for someone else. Like I said, caring for yourself before you care for someone else is not a selfish thing. It's not. The more you care for yourself, the better you'll be able to care for someone else. And the way that we do it is 4 things here we'll be talking about. Taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, taking care of your relationships, and taking care of your soul. taking care of your body. Like I said, my dog walks me every morning. I love that. Well, he loves it. You know, I don't like it. I don't particularly like it, but he goes. Man, I tell you, he has some fun. You know, just walking around, sniffing everything. He's out there, and I'm just out there. You know, walking with him too. And little did I realize that, yeah, this is helping me too. This is helping me too. I have to get more in the mind for that, you know, because if I don't, I'm gonna hate it more and more every time he starts whining. You get out there and start doing stuff. But taking care of your body. How do you do that? Exercise regularly. Okay. Whatever you do, and it doesn't have to be any strenuous thing. You don't have to go to Planet Fitness or anything like that. You know, I mean, walking every day. That's the best exercise that you can get. The best that you can get. When I was in the Air Force now, you know, I used to run 5 miles every other day. And I tell you, that was fantastic. And out in Wyoming, the air is crisp and clear, and I mean, oh, it's really, really great. Except when I went to Denver and I tried to run a mile, boy, I mean, it was hard. I mean, mile high, you know, and it was really, really tough. But exercising regularly, and plus the Air Force made you exercise, you know, and you had to do it. But exercising regularly. Have a healthier diet. Like I said, I've gotten to a point now where I enjoy, well, I call it snacks. I don't call it junk food, you know. That's a euphemism, you know. I mean, I don't call it what it is, but it's just snacks. I love snacks. And, but I do love broccoli. Every chance I get, broccoli. I tell you, it's really good. Get 8 hours of sleep a night. I have a little healthy watch here, and it tells me how many hours of sleep I get every night. And let's see, last night, 7 hours, 7 minutes. And I check that every day. It tells me, okay, when I walk, you know, it tells me how far I walk, how many calories I burn and all. And I've been more into that every morning now. I weigh myself, okay? I have one of those vanity scales. It not only gives you the weight, it gives you your body mass index, your water weight, a couple of other things, and I measure those every day. And I keep it on a little little Excel spreadsheet every morning. Every morning I do that, and it lets me know, you know, if I'm doing okay, weight-wise and otherwise too. So you take care. You get 8 hours of sleep a night. At least 8 hours of sleep, but laugh and have fun. I mean, you know, there's, speaking of laugh and have fun, I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I got to tell you this joke, okay? Laugh and have fun. Had this guy walking out in the, city guy walking out in the country, you know, and he came across this field, and he saw this 3-legged pig, okay, running around out in the field. And that 3-legged pig now was gathering the cows up, you know, and it was herding the cows and all. So he had to go ask the farmer, I saw that 3-legged pig out here running around gathering the cows up. He said, oh, yeah, this pig is smart. He said, one time my house was burning down and the pig dialed 911. Even helped the fireman, you know, save my family and all. And at tax time, he's smart. He's really smart. He asked me to do my taxes at tax time. But he said, yeah, you still didn't tell me why he has 3 legs, though. He said, well, I'll tell you, with a pig that smart, you don't eat them all at once. Okay. So laugh and have fun. Laugh and have fun, okay? I got a lot of little jokes like that I tell, you know, and it's kind of like a 3-legged pig always brings about a good life. Okay, take care of your mind. Take care of your mind. I mean, do some stuff that, develop your set of priorities. That's what I was trying to get this young man to do this morning. Okay, what's your priority? Is it home or is it work, you know? He couldn't tell. He said they both are good, you know, yeah, but one has to be over the other, you know, because if you are feeling the way that you're feeling and you're having both the bad feelings at work, then at home too, well, something has to change. Something has to be more prioritized so that you can enjoy at least one thing that you like the most. Define your purpose in life and do not compare. a lot of us, we compare ourselves to others. And when we do that, we'll see that we either lack a lot or we have more than the other person. So what we do is don't compare ourselves to anyone else, but compare ourselves to ourselves, and we'll see that we have everything that we need in order to meet every obstacle, everything that happens to us in our lives. We have it within ourselves, but when we look at someone else, oh my goodness. That's why, couples come into me for counseling also, and I say, well, no matter what you do what you feel is gonna be good for the relationship, and don't worry about the other person. But when you start to look at the other person, you begin to overlook what you're doing in the relationship, and you'll feel that you're not doing as much, feel that you're doing more than the other person, but they're doing it in their own way, okay? Do not compare yourself to others. Relax and don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty about engaging in something that you feel is going to be something that you want to do for yourself, and also manage technology wisely. Technology today is, I tell you, it can be the greatest thing that we ever had, or it could be something that we're so subject to until it can ruin relationships. Whenever I have relationships in, you know what the most common thing with the couples are now? Locked phones, which is not in and of itself something to talk about, but it's why the phones are locked. Trust issues, that's the main thing. Remember, we talked about what and the why. The what is they have locked phones. Why? There's a trust issue. So now we work on that. So manage technology wisely. Don't let it be something that you use now as a supplement to, caring for others or caring for yourself. So, let's see. And take care of your relationships. Spend time with family. I mean, this is the most important thing. Spend time with family. Now, some of us have some family members we don't want to spend time with, but even that will help because it will give you a different perspective on who you are and how you can be helpful in that situation. Set healthy boundaries and learn to say no. Learn to say no. I know that used to be hard for me, saying no. I thought I had to please everybody. That's because when I was growing up in New Orleans, it was like I was almost taking care of the whole family, really. My dad was gone, mom, she was, she was at the house, but there were 6 of us. And I wasn't the oldest, but I was the most, I would say, responsible. And I had to learn to say no. Setting healthy boundaries is one thing also. Setting healthy boundaries for yourself. If you ever feel like doing something for someone else is gonna make you feel bad, don't do it. That's setting a healthy boundary for you. When you do something for someone, also do it out of your abundance, not out of what you have to use for yourself. And when you do that, you're not expending yourself in such a way that you'll be left without something that you really need. And develop a support network. We all have, even in counseling, we have networks that we have. Like I do the monthly group for counselors and PLPCs. We collaborate with each other and all. We have that support group, and it's really, really great. I always tell the counselors, never operate in a vacuum because that's where mistakes are made. That's where mistakes are made. When you don't get out and consult with someone else, when you have a question about something, or when you need more information, always consult with someone else. So develop that support network. And that support network should be something that's not reciprocal, okay? The support network is like, if you need something from someone else, they won't ask you for something else in return. Like if you need a ride somewhere, and the person know that you need a ride, they're not gonna charge you, okay? Let that be, and do that for others too. Have that reciprocal network. Taking care of your soul. Rely on your spiritual resources. all of us have, or should have some type of spiritual resource that we rely upon, because that would be the basis of where we work from. And contemplate the heavenly reward, okay? Because that's something that, you know, when we look at what we're going through right now, and I always tell people, you know, if you're going through a bad time, don't look at the bad time that you're going through. Look past that, okay? And it'll help you to get through the bad time, because you know there's gonna be something on the other side. How do you know that? You've already experienced it. At one time in our lives, we probably said to ourselves, this is the worst that it can get, worst that it can get. Well, we find that we made it through the worst that we can get. But you see, don't forget that, because if we forget it, guess what? The next thing that comes along, it's gonna be the worst thing that ever happened to us in our life. So if we say, instead of standing for ourselves, say, that was the worst period in my life, well, everything else is downhill from now on. And you can handle everything, because you can look back at that thing and never forget that, because you wanna see that you can make it through what you thought was the worst thing that ever happened to you in your life. You can make it through it, no matter what it is. There's, whenever something happens, we as humans, you know, we assign good or bad to it, you know? That's the power that we have. And sometimes we don't use that power wisely though, because we assign good to bad things and bad to good things sometimes. So we have to figure out, okay, if something is happening, I don't care if the outside say, oh, this is bad, this is worse, you know, I'm gonna look for the good in it, because there's always good in anything that happens. But we have a tendency to focus on more on the bad that happens than on the good. But if we get more of what we focus on, really. And if we focus on good, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get more of it. It's hard now trying to convince people that there's good in the bad things that happen, but when they begin to realize that, yeah, they can handle anything that comes along, because it's no longer good or bad. It's just something that happens that I can handle. And that's the bottom line. Okay. And you can also look at burnout now as an opportunity. You know, we may not look at it like that, you know, but there's an opportunity in it. Reevaluate your life and priorities. What is most important to you? Money, family, making the community a better place. This is what I tried to instill in that young man this morning. What's important to you? What's important to you? And spiritual growth. If you knew you only had 1 year to live, how would you be living? Renew or reinvent yourself. One burnout caregiver moved from Denver to San Francisco, where he started over with no expectation or image to uphold. This made it easier to try new professional and personal ventures. The geographical solution is not necessary, however, and can add stress at a vulnerable time. You know, you can bloom where you're planted and renew yourself wherever you are. Like I said, taking care of the issues and the problems that you have right now is gonna be like, okay, I can do this anywhere. I tell my clients sometimes, you know, don't compartmentalize the good things that you have in your life, and it's like this, I can do good over here, but I can't do good over here. I had one nurse that came in to see me, and she's an excellent nurse. I mean, really great. I mean, she has a staff, and she can manage that staff, you know, the work that they do and all, and I mean, really, really delegate authority and all. I mean, really, really great. But her home was in shambles. I mean, she has great skills at work, but she wouldn't use them at home. Why not? Hey, transfer those skills, you know, to the home, and you'll find yourself being just as productive at home as you are at work. We have skills, but we kind of like limit ourselves and saying we can only do it in one area or in one way. No, it's unlimited. Rediscover your passion. What's your passion? Teaching, art, part-time practice, run a bed and breakfast, surfing, guitar lessons. Like I say, my passion is woodworking and flying. And I view those as a getaway every time I feel like I'm getting to a point where I need to have some time for myself. So at this point in my practice and in my career, I've made it a point to take the last week of each month off. I don't work that week. I indulge my passions. And that keeps me great for the other 3 weeks of the month. So I know most people can't do that, you know, but look at something that you can do where you can do it for yourself and take pleasure in it. Okay. And in summary, remember now that it's not selfish to focus on your needs and desires when you're a caregiver. It's an important part of the job. You're responsible for your own self-care. Focus on the following self-care practices. Learn and use stress reduction techniques. On my phone, I have a stress reducing thing. It's called Breathe to Relax. Okay? It's breathe, the number 2, and relax. And it shows you, it goes through how you can breathe and have yourself relax in any type of situation. I still have it on my phone. I recommend it to anyone who comes in who feel anxious or depressed or anything, and have them go through the exercises while we're in the session and all, and they find it, oh, this is great. It's a free download too. Breathe to relax. Attend to your own healthcare needs. After I retired from the Air Force, you know, well, we get all our health care, you know, during the Air Force, but then after I retired, and started getting Medicare, I make it a point every 6 months to get a checkup. Every 6 months, without fail, every 6 months. Get proper rest and nutrition. Exercise regularly. Oh, Ben would love to see that. That's my dog. Take time off without feeling guilty, okay? Participate in pleasant, nurturing activities, things that you can get into, you know. And at one point, I was into needlepoint, you know, doing that. I mean, that was great. That was great. I got to get back into that again because, I mean, it was such that you feel relaxed and you try to make those little stitches and all, you know, and I'll tell you, it was really, really great. I need to get back into that. I need to go over to Hobby Lobby and get some more stuff. Seek and accept the support of others. Don't feel like you can handle this all by yourself. I mean, even myself as a counselor, you know, I have someone that I go to for support also. Seek supportive counseling when you need it, or talk to a trusted counselor or friend. Identify and acknowledge your feelings, which is going to be something that is very, very important, but sometimes very difficult for people to do. Because they don't want to acknowledge that, oh, I'm feeling bad, or they'll feel guilty about acknowledging that, and think people will think less of them for feeling that way. No, you have to really be really honest with yourself in doing that. Change the negative ways you view situations. Once again, for every negative thought that comes up in my sessions with my clients or anything, I like to have them point out a positive thing. I had one lady came in and she was just so depressed, and she said nothing's going right for me. I said, well, what have you got going good for you in your life? She couldn't think of anything. Couldn't think of anything. And I wasn't going to give up. We kept at it, until she finally said, well, I woke up this morning. That's where we start. The least little thing, that's where we start. So even as caregivers, you know, there's one little thing that even the person that you're caring for will find that's positive. Go with that. Go with that. And it'll make their life a whole lot better, or the interaction that you have with them a whole lot better. Set goals. Okay, set goals for your life, and but it's all up to you. It's up to you what you do, how you do it, and when you do it. So, and I think that's all that I had. Questions?
I think point you make about doing something that you enjoy really does help. Because I found with my wife taking care of her, when I start getting stressed about it, I've always been kind of a mechanical minded person.
Yeah.
I like doing things mechanical. I like taking care of the yard. I like remodeling the house.
Oh, okay.
I also do woodworking.
Oh, man.
So
I gotta show you some pictures.
when I get to that point, I just say, okay, I go to my shop, or go outside in the yard and start doing something and just,
Mhm.
you know, it really does relax you.
Yeah, it does, it does. I mean, it takes your mind off, and then plus you're engaged in something else that you really enjoy, you know,
Mhm.
and it makes you feel like you've accomplished something.
Right.
And that accomplishment is gonna be the thing that spurs you on and keeps you going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys being here and enjoying the session, so.
A
we'll
lot
see
of good
you-
information, really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay.
You did a
Yeah.
great presentation.
Oh, good. Thank you, thank you. Okay, okay. Yeah, I'll show you those pictures. Woodworking. Now, you may not believe this, but this is